Hello, it's Jess. A trip to Disneyland Paris can get pretty expensive, so in this video, I'll be sharing how to make the meal plans worth it with examples, and also the key things to consider when deciding whether you want to add a meal plan or not. First, you might want to think about what your overall budget is for your trip. There are a lot of places to eat in Disneyland, and it doesn't have to be super expensive. Or you can go all out for super comfortable location, great theming, but really expensive food. Second of all, you might want to think about the length of your trip. So if you're only going for 1 or 2 days, you might want to maximize your time on rides. Or if you have a longer trip like we did, and we were going with parents, we wanted to have a more relaxing trip. So we booked in a lot more restaurants, so it be like a buffet restaurant or a 3-course meal, just so that we have a nice balance between going on rides and eating and resting. The third thing is to really research the restaurants. They have different pricing, so some might be quicker and also cheaper, so the quick service restaurants, or you might go for a €55 3-course menu at like Walt's restaurant. Next, you also want to think about the amount of food, because sometimes for the meal plan to be worth it, then you might end up going to a buffet or a 3-course meal. Not everyone wants to have a 3-course meal every day or a buffet every day. It could get quite a lot. It depends how much people eat, whether you have children. There's a lot to think about. Next, there's also dietary requirements to consider. For example, if you're a vegetarian and you are going for a buffet that costs £40 for an adult, you'll need to decide if it's worth it to pay that amount for not as many options as others would have. It's also helpful to have a short list of restaurants that you really want to go to, and then you can decide whether it's worth it to do that as part of the meal plan or just go and pay separately. Next is talking about how much planning you want to do. Some people like me really like to plan their trip very thoroughly and also book all the restaurants in advance. Other people like to go with the flow and just enjoy being there and deciding at the time what they want to eat. Lastly, you want to think about the amount of time before you go on your trip, because the earlier you book your restaurants, the more likely they'll have availability. We had a month and a half before we were due to go on our trip, and there was some restaurant availability, but then it's quite hard to book restaurants like Waltz. I had to keep searching on the app for it. So in summary, the things to consider: what's your budget, the length of your trip, how chilled you want to be, how much time you want to spend on rides, the restaurant prices, the amount of food that you're going to eat, dietary requirements, what your shortlisted restaurants are, the ones that you really want to go to, how much planning you want to do beforehand, and the amount of time before you go. A quick overview of how the meal plans work. Meal plans are for guests staying at a Disney hotel. There are 3 different meal plan types: breakfast only, half board, and full board. Half board includes breakfast and then includes 1 other meal, so lunch or dinner. Full board includes 3 meals a day. Once you know which type you would like, they have different options, and we'll go through that later on. Right, let's get to it. Moving on to the big question: are meal plans worth it? Let's start with the breakfast only meal plan. The cost varies depending on the star rating of the hotel. So for the 4-star hotels, Disney Hotel New York, the Art of Marvel, and Newport Bay Club, the cost for an adult is £25, and for a child aged between 3 to 11, that's £21. For the 3-star hotels, the cost for an adult is £22, and for a child, it's £15. For the Santa Fe Hotel, it's £19 for an adult, and for a child, it's £13. For all the Disney accommodation, except for Davy Crockett Ranch, this is an all-you-can-eat buffet breakfast at your hotel restaurant. Check out my video of the breakfast at Newport Bay Club Hotel to see what the food is like. For the Davy Crockett Ranch, that's actually £11 for an adult, and child is the same. And it isn't a buffet breakfast, it actually is a breakfast basket that you get. So is the breakfast only meal plan worth it? In my personal opinion, these prices are quite expensive for a breakfast, so it wouldn't be worth it for me, as there are cheaper options available like McDonald's or the Earl of Sandwich in the Disney Village. The Earl of Sandwich has a great breakfast offering. It's €10.50 for a full English breakfast with a hot drink and an orange juice. The amount of food that you get at the Earl of Sandwich breakfast offering is very similar to what I normally eat at a Disney hotel breakfast buffet, so I'll be using it as a comparator for whether the meal plan is worth it later in the video. Moving on to the half-board meal plan. So for Disney Newport Bay Club, Hotel New York, Sequoia Lodge, and Hotel Cheyenne, the pricing is different to the Santa Fe and Davy Crockett Ranch. Ranch, as you can see here. It's around £10 more expensive. If you want to make the meal plan worth it for half board, then I really suggest you book the most expensive table service restaurants and also the buffets. I'll show you in an example why it's better to book those kind of restaurants. As you can see here, this is an example of using the meal plan, but you're actually going to just be eating quick service restaurants. So breakfast is worth around £10. Quick service restaurants cost about £15 for an adult, so the total spend is £25 for an adult, whereas the cost of a meal plan can go up to £55 for half board. So potentially you could be overpaying up to £30 every day. Here's another example of where a half board meal plan would be worth it. So if you were to have breakfast and you were planning to have lunch or dinner at Waltz, then it's going to add up to £59 for an adult in terms of £10 for breakfast and £49 for a 3-course meal at Waltz restaurant. That could save you up to £14 because if you're on the half board for Santa Fe and Davy Crockett Ranch, you're only paying £45 for an adult per day. So I would say that would be worth it because you will be spending less if you were to choose the meal plan. Another example is if you were to choose buffet restaurants. So here, if you have a buffet, it's about £40 for an adult, and including breakfast of about £10, that would be £50 in total for an adult. This could mean savings of up to £5 if you were staying at the Santa Fe and Davy Crockett Ranch. Just wanted to call out that if you're staying at the other Disney hotels and paying for the half-board meal plan, in terms of monetary value-wise, you would be spending £5 more in the meal plan. But I think it's worth it because breakfast is then at the hotel restaurant, so it's a more comfortable setting and also it's more convenient. So the big question of is it worth it? Well, I think normally you would consider whether the meal plan price is lower than paying separately. If it's very similar, difference of around £5, like the other example, then it's thinking about what other non-monetary factors that would make your day more enjoyable, so it's worth it. Moving on to the full board packages. The full board options can go up to £118 for an adult, and that's because the Extra Plus package would include character dining for one meal during your stay, and it also has an extra drink and snack every day. How to calculate whether it's worth it or not? You need to calculate the total cost of all the meals that you would be eating versus the meal plan total cost. So if it's lower for the meal plan, then it's worth it. Let's explain this with an example. Assuming it's a 2-night stay and we're looking at cost for an adult, that would mean it's 2 breakfast meals, 3 lunch meals, and 2 dinner meals. For the full board standard package, you will get a meal on your last day as well, but it has to be at a quick service restaurant. So if we assume that breakfast is around £10 for an adult, and then the lunch is £15, and dinner is £49 if you're eating at the most expensive restaurants, so the 3-course meal at Waltz or Yacht Club, and you can save up to £35 per adult. Here's an example of when the full board standard plan wouldn't be worth it. This is the same kind of example, so a 2-night stay, and this is looking at a cost for adults, assuming they are all at the quick service restaurants for lunch and dinner, then your total cost of your meals would just be £95, whereas the cost of your full board meal plan is £128, in which case you're overpaying up to £33, so it's really not worth it. And you would just do the same kind of calculations for a child, and if it is the full board Extra Plus ones, well then you need to find the value of how much those snacks would be and the extra drink alongside with the cost of a character dining meal, and then add it all up, and then you'll see how it will compare with the meal plan price. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for future videos.